Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anisha and thank you so much for joining me here today. Today I'm setting up my monthly reading wrap up for October in my reading journal. So let's get into it. This PET tape is one of the main elements I'm using today. It has a princess in a castle theme with this cute anime style illustrations. And I'm pairing it with this other PET tape in similar colors and similar castle vibe. These two are going to be the main elements I use today. I didn't have the exact color of washi tape to go with it, so I just printed some paper in the colors I needed. I'm planning to cut those and use them like washi tape for the borders. And finally, I have my Ohuhu markers and Sakura Pigma Micron fine liners. I'm going with a waterfall theme this month. I did something similar in my last month's reading wrap up as well. I have already marked my pages with pencil for where everything needs to be cut. So I'm just following along those marks and cutting the edges using my straight paper cutter here. My paper cutter has been with me for a while and the blade is little blunt, so it doesn't have a smooth finish. That's why I have to trim off these excess lines here. Okay, so the cutting part is done. I just skipped forward a little bit. I have cut every page according to what I planned earlier. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm using those printed papers like washi tape. So for this first page, which is going to be my cover page, I'm giving it a thick border on the left side to match the width of all the waterfall layers combined. And on the other side and the rest of the pages, I'm going with a small border like thin washi strip and I'm alternating the colors. I printed the paper in yellow, pink and green colors. Pink is obviously the main color in the washi tape and it has slightly golden yellow and green accents too. So that's where I picked out the other two colors from. Okay, now I have added all the borders and I also rounded off the edges using my corner punching tool. So the main part of the waterfall is done. Now let's focus on the cover page. This first spread is going to be the cover page. Usually I stick to a single page cover, but since these pages are much smaller because of the waterfall edges, I'm going to do a full spread. I originally meant to do just the stickers along the borders and the title in the center, but the center part felt a little too plain, like there is a lot of white space and I'm obviously not going to fill everything up, but I still wanted a bit more visual weight in the center part. So I decided to write a quote here and I'm splitting that quote into two parts above and below the October title. It says, "Where chandeliers fade to moonlight, her books begin to glow." I found this on Pinterest with a quick search. It wasn't attributed to anyone, so I'm not sure who wrote it. I just thought it worked really well with the theme since this is my reading wrap up and the stickers have that princess in a castle vibe. So I'm just going with it. Now that the cover page is done, let's move on to the next spread, which is going to be my calendar page. It is kind of like a progress calendar. This is where I mark every book I read corresponding to each day I spend time reading that book. This is something I do in every monthly wrap up. It doesn't really give me any new information, but it's just something I like to look at visually. October was a very slow reading month for me. I only read 4 books in October, but in terms of the quality of the books, it was a great one. I really enjoyed most of what I read. I'll talk about them a little bit later. I have actually been genuinely enjoying reading slowly these last few months, so I'm not complaining. My reading goal for the year was to read 80 books, and I did a lot in the first half of the year. So I'm very close to my goal. With October, I reached 77 books so far, so I can easily achieve my reading goal for the year, even at this slower pace. Also, the reading goal is just something I set at the beginning of every year because I like having a number there. Like, it lets me use the goal tracker and color in the little boxes every time I finish a book. It's not something I force myself to complete. If I hit the goal, great. If I don't, it's fine. I don't usually push myself just to finish it, but it does feel good when I set a goal and actually reach it. So, since my goal is 80 and I'm already at 77, I have no problem reading just 3 or 4 books a month for the rest of the year. It works for me. Okay, that's it for now. Let's move on to the next page. I will come back later and add a couple more stickers to each page, but for now, I'm just moving to the next spread. This page is for my reading log. It's basically a simple table where I list all the books I read along with the authors, the format I read them in, and the rating. Normally, I set this up on the left side of the page and add the book covers on the right side. But because these pages are already smaller since I cut out a lot from them, I'm putting the table at the top and sticking the covers at the bottom. I only read 4 books, so there is more than enough space at the bottom. I also added a title, Reading Log, on the top, which I don't usually bother with. I don't title every page in my reading journal, but there was an empty spot there, so I just decided to fill it in. So, the books I read this month are Assassins Played by Sarah J. Maas, which was the prequel for the Throne of Glass series, Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, which is the final book in the Mistborn trilogy, Find Us by Benjamin Stevenson, which is an Audible original. And finally, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Even though I only read 4 books this month, as I said before, the quality was really good. 2 of these books I gave 5 star. The Hero of Ages and Project Hail Mary were both 5 stars for me. I gave Find Us 4 stars, which was another solid read. The lowest rating was for Assassin's Blade and I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't a bad book, it just didn't stand out as much compared to the others this month or compared to the earlier books in the Throne of Glass series. I have already read the first 2 books in the series and then I picked up the prequel. I'm following the release order. I know some people go in the chronological order, but I just wanted to read them in the way they originally came out. And compared to the first 2 books, I felt Assassin's Blade wasn't as strong. As for Hero of Ages, I have been loving the Mistborn series and finishing it was such a great experience. I'll talk more about it in my book review video. And Project Hail Mary was one of those sci-fi books that everyone has been recommending for so long. I have seen it everywhere on social media and I finally read it this one and really enjoyed it. I think there is a movie coming out early next year and I definitely want to check that out now. Anyway, moving on to the next spread. This is for all my reading stats of the month, and as usual, I already created all the graphs and charts I needed in Canva and printed them on sticker paper. So that's what I'm using here. So as I said before, I read a total of 4 books this month with 1580 pages and 4.3 hours of audiobooks. In terms of rating, I had 1 3-star, 1 4-star and 2 5-star reads, which gives me a 4.25 average rating for the month. I think this is one of the highest rated months for me so far. For genres, I had 2 fantasy books, 1 mystery thriller and 1 sci-fi. For the formats, I had 1 physical book, 2 ebooks and 1 audiobook. The physical book I read was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, and that one is quite huge, like over 800 pages. Also, the first half of this month was much slower compared to the second half. It took me almost 3 weeks to finish the first 2 books I read, which were Assassin's Blade and Hero of Ages. And then in the last 1 week, I finished 2 books. So the pacing was kind of all over the place. And out of the 4 books, only 1 was from my existing TBR, the other 3 were new additions. All of the books I read this month was fictions, there were no non-fictions for this month. Okay, so here I was almost done with the setup, but when I flipped back through the pages, I felt like some of the borders looked too plain compared to the others. So I decided to add a couple more stickers along the edges to make everything look more even. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay, now I'm done with the setup. Let's do a final flip through. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out my channel for more journaling content and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.